And as the calendar turns to September, so does the focus on politics, because some say what happens to the economy between now and the end of the year could determine the outcome of the next presidential election. We're joined from Washington by Mark Avallone, president of Potomac Wealth Advisors, and John Harwood joins us as well this evening. Welcome, gentlemen. Nice to have you here.
Good to be here.
So, Mark, I'll start with you. What does history tell us about how important the economic performance is in this latter part of the year as it pertains to the election?
Well, certainly as we get closer into 2020, it's going to be the issue. It's the kitchen table topic that families talk about, and the unemployment rate and wage growth and the outlook on the economy is going to be the biggest driver. And that's why there's so much pressure right now on the Trump administration to reach a deal with tariffs, because as we heard earlier, that's the issue driving the fear in the markets, and that's what's slowing global growth.
And of course, John, there has been talk of maybe a tax cut of some kind, a payroll tax cut. The president has said, you know what, the things that I remember Ross Perot used to call the free candy that politicians on both sides of the aisle like to hand out at certain times of the year. Is there anything the administration can do to balance the slowdown in the economy if that happens because of the trade war?
I think the biggest thing the administration could do to help itself economically would be to call a cessation to the trade war. We're at a very dangerous point for the Trump White House because the Americans' perception of where the economy is may be changing right now. We've had as the backdrop of the entire Trump presidency the idea that markets were rising, the economy was growing at a robust rate, wages were rising, especially for people at the bottom. But we saw a poll last week that showed for the first time in a long time a plurality of people saying the economy is more likely to get worse in the next year than better. And if all of a sudden the backdrop for the Trump reelection campaign is a slowing economy, or worse yet, one that's in recession, all bets are off, because then the culture wars diminish in significance and the economy becomes the driving factor to his detriment.
Mark, we did get some economic news this morning, manufacturing contracting sharply. And you also make the point it's not just the tariffs and the trade war with China, but whatever administration says right now, they also have some issues with Europe in terms of trade. So it's kind of a two-front, is it not?
Yeah, and that's what's always confused me, at least, in terms of why not align with our allies against the main trade predator, China. And that would make a clearer landscape for an early resolution. The China trade war is also trickling into emerging economies, creating a global slowdown. And while we are not primarily a manufacturing economy, it is a growing importance. It was thriving early in the first year or two of the Trump administration. So we're seeing everything being suppressed now, whether it's emerging countries' growth, developed Europe growth, some pockets at home. And I think John made a good point. As the year turns closer to the election, how people feel about the economy is going to be just as important, if not more important, than how the economy actually is.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Mark Avallone with Potomac Wealth Advisors and John Harwood. Thank you both.